We're going to kill two birds with one stone in this video, and we're going to talk about not only the importance of signs and the war on the lawn signs in a political campaign, but we're also going to talk about, or I'm going to use lawn signs as one example of what a political strategist does in a day. Because a lot of people often like, what do you do anyway? And it's so varied. But today's a perfect example of one of the things I had to do. And one of the things is to slow down your opponent's ground game, right? So I have to find a way to slow things down or confuse things when I have an opportunity. So one way to do that is to really observe your opponent and how their ground game and seeing where maybe they broke a rule, because that's one really good way of slowing down an opponent or discrediting them even if you find that they're breaking election rules. And so let's talk about my day today. One of our opposing camps started putting out signs, as are we, and we noticed that the signs all said re-elect on there, even though the guy is not the opponent, is not the incumbent. And that's kind of a big no-no, because A, he's not the incumbent, so he shouldn't imply that he is. So obviously those were used from a election past, a very old election. And the party is known for being very broke. So the party that these signs belong to, notorious for being broke right now. So obviously they're reusing signs from an old election. So that kind of confirmed that for me. So that's where my play was, right? Is I have to attack those signs and either have them have to remove the signs because now they're scrambling for signs. And if I can't do that, how do I slow down their ground game? So, and you could say to me, well, Niela, like, big deal, it's just semantics, but statistically, the incumbent has a better chance of winning than other opponents. So when you are pretending to be the incumbent when you're not, some people don't know who their actual, member of parliament is. So if they say re-elect on there, they'll assume that that guy is their member of parliament. A lot of people, you'd be surprised, just don't know. And by saying re-elect, it makes the person feel like, well, if they're already in there, my life's not that bad, I'm just going to re-elect the guy because he's been there 4 years and hasn't done anything to me, even though he hasn't been there for 4 years. It wasn't really him. And really, the real incumbent deserves to have, it's one of the privileges of being an incumbent, is that you have the statistic advantage. And this guy just went and kind of took that from him. And not that I necessarily care, because I'm not on the incumbent's team, so benefiting him doesn't help me at all. But at the same time, it's incredibly misleading for this other candidate. And like, if you can't even tell me the truth on your political signs, how am I going to trust you when you're in office? Like, what other corners do you cut? You know what I mean? Or whatever. What other things are you going to imply? So it's just distasteful any way you look at it. So regardless, what are you going to do with this, So call to the returning office. And we had heard that the Elections Canada wasn't really going to do a big thing about it. So we just thought, oh, well, we tried and it failed. But when I walked home from HQ today, I noticed that all of those signs had stickers covering the re-elect. So obviously somebody said something to him, and he realized it wasn't a smart play. But the reason that ground game got slowed down is that, imagine, these guys have put out 200 signs or 100 signs, however many they did, and now they have, instead of keeping going, because odds are they've only put out half their signs and they're scrambling to get it done, is now they have to go back to all of the properties they just went to put stickers on it. Slowed down their game by a whole other day. Because every house they had to revisit for a sticker is one new house they didn't get to put a sign up. Knock them off the track for one day, cost them extra money in stickers. Now they're going to have to order new signs. It's going to eat away at a budget I already know they don't have. You know what I mean? And that's what a political strategist does. Purpose, for sure. When people start seeing your signs out, they're, oh wow, she's popular, he's popular, maybe it's okay to like them, you know what I mean? So it does bring momentum. So definitely there's a reason for those signs, and it's good to put some energy behind it, but don't blow your whole budget on signs. And don't feel like you need every lawn to have a sign on it to make an impact, because as a matter of fact, if you have too many signs out in the field, it could actually hurt you. Because then people think, well, you know what, they don't need my vote because their signs are everywhere. They don't really need me to vote for them. So if on election day they're not in the mood, they're not feeling well, they're tired, they're busy, they don't need my vote anyway. And you can lose an election over 5, 10, 20, 100 votes, you know. So every vote does matter. And the other thing, too, that it does to people is sometimes they'll think you have too many signs. So then they'll, you know what, they're going to get too big for their britches, or I don't want them to get a majority, so I'm not going to vote because it looks like they're going to get a majority because of all these signs. So if I don't vote, they'll only get a minority, so they won't be so confident, or, you know what I mean? So a lot of the times having too many signs could actually be detrimental to you. I mean, I wouldn't say you don't want any signs, because again, you want that momentum and you want to get people excited, but don't think that you need to blow all of your budget on signs. And another thing, don't think that you need to put your face on the sign. That sometimes will add cost to the sign, and statistically, having your face on there isn't as important as your name, because when they're looking at the ballot, they're not looking at your face, it's the name recognition. So you're better off, especially on the small signs, having it just your name and not your face. The big signs, you can be a little bit more creative, but on the small ones, make it about your name. And that's the big thing. So a lot of people waste, you know, billboard space on other things and not their name, and it's name recognition is what you really, really want. So that's another tip. So signs are important, but they are not the is-all and end-all of your campaign, and nor should they be. If you're going to put money towards something, I would say you'd be better off saving some of that money to put towards canvassers or to put towards social media ads than lawn signs. So you need just enough so that people know you have support and to build momentum. Not so many that people think, oh, she's got too many votes. You know what I mean? Or I don't want him to have a majority, so he doesn't need me to vote. So you don't want to have so many signs that you push people to that thing. And please, you know, unlike this candidate here, I understand you're in a budget crunch, whatever, but it's really important to be integral off the bat. So when you're implying that you're an incumbent, when you're not an incumbent, it's a shitty thing to do to the incumbent. Again, I'm not on the incumbent's team, so I could care less. But it is a shitty thing to do to the incumbent. Have a good day, everybody.